after game 2. So LSU was back out at football practice today. The media was allowed 20 minutes before we are allowed the full practice on Saturday, which, again, like I've been saying, will be out there. Today, there was a lot of video that came out about LSU football, and let me tell you where I'm at. And I think there's going to be more of a deep dive than we've gotten in quite some time. Number one, I think that Deshaun Womack, this is in no specific order, has picked it up a little bit. He's been able to get to Nussmeier with some sacks, both on Emory Jones on some of those sacks he has gone up against. Will Campbell got a sack as well, believe it or not, what I was told earlier today as well after the media were to leave. I do think that you're starting to get some defensive pieces and defensive guys that are stepping up a little bit. I think P.J. Woodland, the freshman, has looked really decent. Actually, if you remember during the football season, we had a long segment on him saying that I thought that he could, like, my comp would be like maybe I think he's going to get stronger and bigger than him, but he's coming in as a Greedy Williams. I don't know if he can get to the size as a Mo Claiborne, but he's so long and rangy. When he gets his hands on you, he can really be a problem. The issue is, guys, he should be at his senior prom, so when he gets beat by Kyron Lazy in the back of the end zone like he did today, or along the sideline, like he did today, you come to a place where, like, man, that's a senior going up against a guy that should be in high school, but he's right there on him. If Kyron's gonna make that play and he's gonna make the catch, I'd rather him make the catch along the sideline, and it'd be very difficult for him to do that. Today, a video came out and was released in reference to the defensive line. Sean Washington was a guy that you brought into the recruiting class from JUCO. And today did not look good. You got a video. I know that it's on a double team. I know that video has gone somewhat a little bit viral about the offensive line, but you have a walk-on and borderline doubling a guy that will be doubled a lot throughout the year because he is going to have to play, and got pancaked. I'm not going to freak out over a pancake. If that were the only time that I had seen this defensive line get pushed around, I'd be like, yeah, okay. We're talking about a play. Blake Baker spoke with the media today, in which, look, I mean, take from it what you will. We can get into it if we needed to, and we can. I don't think. Blake just really said he was happy to be home. We're working with Harold Perkins. He needs reps. Deep corners have gotten better. I mean, he didn't say much, really, if we're just being honest. He just kind of didn't talk anything about schematics. He was very bland. He didn't give his hand on anything. It's like he's being prepped to be a head coach, I swear to God. We just have a massive issue in the interior of the defensive line. I think you're working through some things. Like, I don't think that Javian Toviano can play the boundary. I don't even think he can play corner. I don't think you can put him in the slot. I don't think he can be there. He's got to move to safety. Even if he does not want to move to safety, guys, if he wants to play corner, it's not the position for him. He needs to move. And I don't know what the thought process is there with keeping him there if he wants to play there. But I remember a time, I honestly remember a time when we would talk about football players and say, no, this is the better position, and we're going to move you there. And coaches can make those changes without the fear of somebody tempting and going into the portal because they were moved somewhere. Toviano's got to go through there. He's got to move to safety. It'll be much better for him. I will tell you this. I think you're battling a lot of positions. I think the end position has been a pretty fierce battle. I think Relaford has started to turn some heads here of late. But, you know, one play flash here, the next couple plays, not so much. So we'll see with Relaford. I think there's a lot of competition that's going on defensively. And quite honestly, I think that their personnel has not looked bad. I think you're going to be a lot better there. I mean, with just based off of personnel alone, you're going to be much better, except one place. I know you don't like me talking about it. I get that. I don't have a choice. I mean, like, guys, when it's that glaring of an issue, like today's practice, what was the biggest thing that you took away? Well, PJ Woodland was at one corner. Where has J.K. Johnson been? He has not been out there. Has J.K. re-aggravated something? I think that needs to be more of a question that we try to get into. Somebody's got to ask that to BK on Saturday. I hope that they do. Even though you got PJ Woodland at the boundary corner, that would be the number one topic. What really should have been the number one topic is yet another day that we have been out there in an 11-on-11 situation, and you got a guy that needs to be rotating in with the ones in the interior, getting double teamed, or not getting double teamed, but getting pancaked. And guys, I got to tell you, this little walk-on kid Stamps, I forgive me, I don't know the relation if he's related to Ashton Stamps, who started at the other boundary corner today. I don't know if they're related. Guys, that little Stamps kid, the walk-on, kid can play. Kid can play. I mean, he's turned some heads this spring, buddy. Let me tell you, that kid has been railroading dudes. You hear me? Like, bro, the walk-ons that Brad Davis has brought on has been clapping some cheeks. I'm not joking. And you saw when I said that 2 weeks ago, I had probably 5 comments in here saying Blake bullshit and he's over-exaggerating. Now you got to see it for your ass today. Getting them cheeks clapped, baby. Getting them other loving cheeks clapped. It's an ass whipping. I got to be real with you. I feel moderately decent pretty much everywhere else you are. You're going to go after another back in the portal. They don't have a choice there. You guys have been mad at me about talking about that. That's fine. So all said and done. By the way, you know who I keep hearing though? You know who continues to make plays that we don't talk about is Jair Brown in the slot. Let me use my words carefully here. I don't know if you're not going to see a lot of blitzes from that nickel spot. I wouldn't be surprised in the spring game if you don't see a lot of blitzes from that spring spot. Now, does Blake Baker pull things back and not show that? Maybe. Did it a lot. Has done it a lot at practice. If he doesn't show it in the game, in the spring game, doesn't matter to me. But I'm telling you, we've been out there. I'm telling you that. Listen to me. The kid can play slot now. Kid can play, and I think he's a perfect fit for what Baker wants. I got to tell you this too. Let me emphasize something. Blake Baker is here at the right time. I don't think he's going to be he's not going to lose your culture the way that last year went. Guys, let me tell you this. If you ever hear that the culture's bad with Blake Baker, it's a lie. Or something historically bad happened. And I would assume it's not been his fault. Dude's been here before, man. They respect him. You could tell that they respect him. Like, look, man, the body language that we would see last year with House versus when they see with Baker when he yells at him. And I got to tell you, he gets in their ass. So I think today that will continue to be the big thing for me. Here's another one. Their running game continues to expand. They're running more. So I said this the other night. Let me expound on what I said from offensive schematics. How do I want to say it? Just pure schematics. Guys, you saw multiple RPO buck sweeps where they're pulling both guards. Guys, really and truthfully, I don't think Joe Sloan's going to be this way. But I'm giving you an example of somebody who does this exact same thing. Guys, they're running a lot of stuff that you would see from an air raid type of passing attack. Guys, remember, how do I think the best? I think that you could compare this to Oklahoma Lincoln Riley type stuff. Buck sweep, run this slant, RPO behind it. Garrett Nussmeier's first pass today was a buck sweep that had the running back in the flat. Everything was covered. He comes back to the running back, and it more like a screenish type thing. They had a tight end and a tackle out there trying to block. It's more Lincoln Riley-ish. They've gone under center in this running game. They're going to be very multiple. But I do think that there are a lot of the things that they've worked on. Yes, today Kyron Lacy had another ridiculous catch. That's his fifth that I know about and have seen with my own eyes that he's had this spring. And the drops have not been there. To his credit, the first Kyron Lacy drop that happens in spring will be the first one we see. Can he translate that, man? He's got to translate it. They are ripping it along pretty much all over the place. But when I told you about the running game and how dominating the offensive line had been, was I joking? Guys, you see the film now. There's a lot of film that's out now that Brian Kelly has allowed to be out there. Now you're starting to get to see it by yourself. And I'm not having to hold your hand and say, this is what I saw. And then because for whatever reason you don't believe me, even though this comment we had earlier from some gentleman, I forget. I apologize for Corey Rogers is the one who said it. Guys, I'm telling you, everything we're telling you is what I'm seeing and what is happening and what will happen. You know, it took a lot of shit last year when said I thought that they could be a number one offense last year. This one, I think that they're going to be good. I don't know if they can be elite. I don't think that they can get there. I think mainly due to the fact of how they're going to run things. Now, if Garrett takes that next step, schematically, are they putting him in positions to be there? Yes. I just don't know if they're there yet, and we got a long way until September the 1st. A long way. But in retrospect, not really. We kind of a short time away if you somewhat think about it. So we'll see. Those are my takeaways. Defensive line. Thought the O-line continued to improve. You got a lot of depth there. Wide receiver, corner, the two guys that started in Woodland and Stamps. Major Burns got beat today by Aaron Anderson. Aaron Anderson has won the third wideout spot this spring. So you want to know who the third wideout is right now? As of right now, the guy that's running with him at number 3 is Aaron Anderson. So the two transfer wide receivers that have come in here have not been able to crack that top 3 lineup of guys that were returning. Here, I really want to see them. I legitimately want to. My perfect game offensively in a spring game this year is them force-feeding Aaron Anderson. Offensively. I don't need it. I know that you want to see other things. I do not. I need to see more of Aaron Anderson because I was wrong last year. You know, there were times in practice last year that Aaron Anderson, guys, quite honestly, would make a lot of plays. Just was not able to translate it. I'd force feed him, see what happens. Alex says AYS best LSU coverage hands down. Blake don't sugarcoat shit. No, I do not. At least I try not to. Was told that Nuss did throw a pick today as well, but that's just going to be his thing. It's going to be his thing. Corey Rogers says, what if Blake Bakers and Kevin's Peoples has convinced Luther Burden to transfer to play along Lacey and Hilton? That's not happening. They would be number 1 again. That's not happening. That's not happening. Stephen Young says, do we have another Josh Williams emerging? If you're talking about walk-on, that Stamps kid, the O-lineman, guys, he has railroaded some bitches. He has been a Mack truck, all 5'11" of him. I know that they on the roster they say 6 foot, 6'1". That kid's 5'11". He might be 6 foot with spike cleats on. He ain't no 6 foot. If he's 6 foot, he's barely pushing it. Joseph Lee says, so so are we playing a nickel and star at times? Yes, we are. And then Major Burns will come out. Jair has been the guy that's been blitzing off the edge. It has not been Major Burns. Major Burns got beat again today, but it's just not his game. I mean, he's a tweener. He's not good in coverage. And I don't think it's necessarily fair. I really don't think it's fair for Major Burns to be covering Aaron Anderson either on a fade route. I mean, that's a mismatch. So you just chalk it up today to Aaron Anderson having the long Aaron Anderson had a big time throw and catch from Garrett Nussmeier. He wasn't called, it was incomplete. But would have been 6. I mean, Major Burns gets beat off the route on the inside fade route. Something about Brian Kelly. I don't think it's Jaden Daniels. Guys, they're running inside fade routes like it's going out of style in this offense. I think Brian Kelly likes the boundary. Like, meaning having the space to go in and out. I don't think that's a Jaden Daniels thing. I think it's a Brian Kelly thing. I'm excited to be out there Saturday, man, which, by the way, Saturday is our anniversary, me and my wife's anniversary. And I'll be at work. So will she. It's the reason why I'm going. So will she. So will she. She's got to go do makeup for a wedding. I got to give my girl credit, man. Yeah. Christian Burris with a $199 super chat is MSU transfer should go to RB. Mississippi State transfer. Xavier Thomas, he looks like one. Yeah, he's a stocky wide receiver. Very, very stocky wide receiver. Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. They have given him multiple handoffs. Joe Sloan talked about that with the jet sweep that they gave him and the motion toss that they gave him. Yeah, they've gotten him involved in the running game. When he's played, I mean, that's the most that we've seen from him. He is electric. He will play. He's going to play. I would not be surprised if him and Xavier rotate a lot, Aaron Anderson and him. But look, you need one of those guys to emerge, really and truthfully, because I don't think Hilton's going to be the guy that's going to run in there and get you those slant and hitch catches. Now, Hilton made another pretty sick catch on a hitch today. He went up the ladder, caught it one hand, and brought it back down. Chris has done really good. And now I've been labeled a homer a lot on Chris because, guys, you know the stuff that we've done and NIL and all that kind of stuff. And I get labeled a massive homer. I am a massive homer for him.